This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the latest edition to the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network, the Kerr 250 Podcast. Kerr 250 is a community-focused podcast dedicated to celebrating America's 250th birthday through the people, businesses, and tradition and events of Kerr County. As our nation marks this historic anniversary on July 4, 2026, Kerr 250 will highlight the local celebrations and community efforts to bring this milestone to life. Each episode will feature a conversation with a local leader, business owner, organizer, and citizens who are helping making Kerr County a vibrant part of this movement. In today's episode, I'm going to step behind the mic to talk about 4 great books on the American Revolution from the Library of America series. We're going to follow this up with an offer from the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network, which will be after I discuss these 4 books. First up, The American Revolution, Writings from the War of Independence. The most comprehensive collection of writings from the War of Independence. It's drawn from letters, diaries, newspaper articles, public declarations, contemporary narratives, and private memoranda. This Library of America volume brings together 120 pieces by more than 70 participants and eyewitnesses to create a unique literary panorama of the War of Independence, beginning with Paul Revere's own narrative of his legendary ride in April of 1775 and ending with a moving account of George Washington's resignation from the command of the Continental Army in 1783. This volume contains writings that describe the major events of the conflict, the early battles of Lexington, Concord, and Bunker Hill, the failed American invasion of Canada, the 1776 campaign in New York and New Jersey, the crucial Battle of Saratoga, and the bitter fighting in the South and along the western frontier, and the eventual triumph at Yorktown. Included are writings by famous figures, Washington, Jefferson, Benedict Arnold, Abigail, and John Adams, and lesser-known participants as well. Samuel Webb describing courage and panic at Bunker Hill, Sarah Hodkins writing longingly about her absent soldier husband, Jabez Fitch recounting the last hours of a wounded American officer in Brooklyn, Abigent's Waldo chronicling the privations and miseries of Valley Forge, Otho Williams recording with candor American defeats and victories in South Carolina. The volume also contains writing by American loyalists and British officers serving in America that provide provocative insights into the losing side of this conflict. Next up, The American Revolution, Writings from the Pamphlet Debate. Acclaimed historian Gordon Wood presents the first volume in a stunning collection of British and American pamphlets from the political debate that divided an empire and created a nation. In 1764, in the wake of the triumph of the 7 Years' War, Great Britain possessed the largest and most powerful empire in the world since the fall of the Roman Empire, and its North American colonists were justly proud of their vital place within this global colossus. Yet within 12 short years, this empire was in tatters, and the 13 colonies proclaimed themselves free and independent United States of America. In between, there occurred an extraordinary contest of words between Americans and Britons and among Americans themselves, which addressed the most fundamental issues of politics, the nature of power, liberty, representation, rights, and constitutions, and sovereignty. The debate was carried on largely in pamphlets and from more than 1,000 published on each side of the Atlantic. Here, Gordon Wood has selected 39 of the most interesting and important pamphlets to reveal as never before how the momentous revolution unfolded. The first 2 volumes trace the debate of the crisis, Parliament's passage of the Stamp Act, which triggered riots in American ports from Charleston to Portsmouth, to the crucial turning point in 1772 when the Boston Town Meeting produced a pamphlet that announced a defiance to the world and changed everything. Here is its entirety is John Dickinson's justly famous Letters from a Farmer in Pennsylvania, considered the most significant political tract in America prior to Tom Paine's Common Sense. Here, too, are dramatic transcripts of Benjamin Franklin's testimony before Parliament as it debated the repeal of the Stamp Act, among other fascinating works. The volume includes an introduction, headnotes, a chronology of events, biographical references on each author, detailed explanatory notes, all prepared by leading historians. Next up, we take a look at some writings from George Washington. In this, or rather for 2 centuries, George Washington has stood for first in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of his countrymen, and is universally acknowledged as the one indispensable founder of the American Republic. This Library of America volume, the most extensive and authoritative one-volume collection ever published, covers 5 decades of Washington's astonishing active life and brings together over 440 letters, orders, addresses, and other writings. Among the early writings are the journal Washington kept at age 16 while surveying the Shenandoah Valley frontier and the dramatic account of the winter journey he made through the Pennsylvania wilderness in 1753 on a diplomatic mission. 2 other dozen letters written during the French and Indian War, including first-hand accounts of the controversial forest skirmish that sparked those hostilities and Braddock's bloody defeat, records Washington's early encounters with the harsh challenges of command. Extensive selection of letters, orders, and addresses from the Revolutionary War make manifest Washington's determined leadership of the Continental Army through the years of defeat and deprivation. Included are accounts of battles, letters to Congress and state governments vividly describing the Army's desperate need of supplies, Washington's journal of the victorious Yorktown campaign, and letters and addresses showing how Washington upheld the supremacy of civil power in the new republic peaceably while disbanding the Army at the end of the war. Letters from the Confederation period show Washington's pleasure at returning to his Mount Vernon home, his continued interest in Western land speculation and river navigation, his growing concern with the weaknesses of the Articles of Confederation, and his role in the framing and ratification of the Constitution. The writings from these 2 terms as President of the United States show how Washington strove to establish enduring Republican institutions, to build public trust in the new government, to avoid the divisions of party and faction, and to maintain American neutrality during the war between Britain and Revolutionary France. Also included in the volume are letters revealing his close and careful management of Mount Vernon and his evolving attitudes toward slavery. Washington's writings demonstrate the keen political intelligence that distinguished his leadership in war and peace, as well as his patriotism, dignity, and devotion to cause of the Republican government won the admiration and trust of his contemporaries. And we end with Thomas Jefferson's writing, autobiography, notes on the state of Virginia, public and private papers, addresses, and letters. The most comprehensive collection of Jefferson's writings, including drafts of the Declaration of Independence. At the moment of our nation's birth, Jefferson defined the issues that are still direct in our political life, displaying his extraordinary variety of interests, powerful and precise style. Jefferson's writings are an invaluable and incisive record of the landscape, inhabitants, life, and daily customs of America and the Revolutionary War and the early national eras. The book is the most comprehensive one-volume selection Jefferson ever published. It contains such famous works as autobiography and notes on the state of Virginia, a series of addresses, letters, public and private writings, including the original and revised drafts of the Declaration of Independence, round out the collection, painting not only a portrait of the early days of America, but one of the most influential and controversial figures in our history. And now a few words about the Library of America. The Library of America is an independent, nonprofit cultural organization founded in 1979 to preserve our nation's heritage by publishing and keeping permanently in print America's best and most significant writings. The Library of America series includes more than 300 volumes to date, authoritative editions that average 1,000 pages in length, feature covers, sewn bindings, and ribbon markers, and all printed on premium, acid-free paper that will last literally 4 centuries. I hope you'll take this opportunity to read one or more of these books, as they really give a great introduction to the Revolutionary War. I hope you will check out the Kerr 250 website. We've listed it in the show notes, as well as some of the events that will be taking place around the Kerr 250 celebration. There's lots of information on the website, and I hope you will get involved in any way, shape, or form that you feel would be appropriate to help America celebrate its 250th anniversary, which of course is July 4th, 2026. The Kerr 250 podcast is a production of the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network. Check out any of our other podcast networks on our website. If you're interested, you can contact me, Tom Fox, at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. Thanks so much for listening. We look forward to visiting with you again. From the Texas Hill Country Podcast Network, our gift to you is if you'd like to come on a podcast and talk about the American Revolution, the Declaration of Independence, and what it all means to you, we'd love for you to do so. So please reach out.